हो गया.
हो गया? Oh, right. Wonderful. We'll give it a few minutes at my end to see if there is volume.
हो गया.
हो गया? Fabulous. Okay, so hello once again to everybody and a very warm welcome to this particular session where we are going to take an energy look into intuition. Intuition. So, before we even go along, some chatting things to happen. So, let me ask you guys, any of you has been very intuitive, for a long time or something? Anybody who's played with intuition, you used to get some intuitions about people or about what is about to happen and stuff like that, and then you found that it is, whatever you had intuition about has actually come around. Anybody in this group? Because I know a few people, and they've done the program, probably not here right now. I know a few people who used to call me up and say, what should we do? We are getting this information about this relative, and there's going to be this problem with this relative, and what should we do? And then they would call and say, oh my God, whatever I was fearing has already actually happened, and it already happened to them. And so I already had a intuition about this, a premonition, something that you can feel, the gut feeling that you have. So anybody in this group, amongst the people who are joining, anybody who's had intuition for some time? Nobody? All right. Okay then. Wonderful. बहुत ही बढ़िया बात है. एक टॉपिक के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. Nobody has experienced that topic only. So, well, at least not amongst the people who are here. So I'm sure that people who will join will have something to contribute in terms of उनके साथ intuition हुआ कि नहीं.
Yes,
But
me intuitions feeling
okay,
at
Shreya.
6
All
months.
right, we have one person. So go ahead, Shreya. Talk about, like, give me an example of an intuition that you've had and then it's come true or something like that. Tell me.
Yeah. So, like, when I talk to these people who come to me for diet and lifestyle consultations, like when I'm talking to them, suddenly I will say, oh, do you have a hobby of gardening, but have you stopped doing it? Yeah, I used to love gardening, but nowadays I'm not doing. Then, when she's done with all the symptoms, I said, is there something about your legs that you have not mentioned in the assessment? Oh, yeah, yeah, varicose veins is there, just forgot. So, this is happening since some time.
Lovely.
And yeah, and like of course, like after the EM only. I mean, earlier it was वो flop हो जाते थे. अभी intuition है वो सही निकलते हैं.
ओके देन. ओके.
I mean,
सो
a lot
एनीवेज, तो
of them.
पहले फ्लॉप हो जाते थे तो उनको हम, जो फ्लॉप हो जाते हैं हम उनको इंट्यूशन नहीं कहते हैं. जो फ्लॉप हो जाते हैं उनको वी जस्ट कॉल एज लाइक, ओ, thoughts that were passing by which didn't come true. When we look at intuition, or when we're talking about intuition, we normally talk about, like, gut feel that then comes true. And we're still going to talk about this topic in the energy modality and how to look at it. But अभी तो शुरुआत के लिए, what is intuition, as per the normal definition and what it does and all. We'll give a little bit of flavor of that too. I see somebody's writing something on chat, so let's
Ma,
read.
even I had kind of intuition, maybe intuition or maybe like somebody talking to me kind of thing before one or two major life events. And I first time when it happened, I didn't listen. I thought maybe it's just like my thought only, though it was more like a bhavishyavani kind of ki, oh, don't go somewhere like that. But
Wow.
then things didn't turn up well at that place. So from then on, I started listening to whatever is being said. So when a major life event happened months before it, it was like it just came to me that it's over. So
Okay.
I was like, what is over? And if it has to get over, then I should have spent more time doing this. And why? And I said why, how, and all that. But then it just was like, it's over. And then after 3, 4 months, it was really over. But
Okay.
now, till now, slowly, I sometimes ask that, can you add something more, it's over, but means something. So now that I'm after doing EM program, now sometimes I get my answers that okay, why it was done like that.
Okay, but you got intuition of what something would be, and then, and then it happened. Yep, truly
Yes.
intuition. And now we will talk about that a little bit more, and, as we go along. But yes, that is pretty much exactly what we are talking about. And Megha has something to write, and she says, these days there are videos of people on Insta asking to guess which color rock they're holding as an exercise to enhance intuition. I always cannot guess, but yes, at times have been able to sense something to happen, and it happens. Yep. All right. That be intuition. All right. Wonderful. Okay. So these are exactly all the kinds of intuitions except those flocked ones. Those are not what we would call intuition. But yes, when you think of something and something is going to happen, and that is what you call intuition. Now, I'll keep switching between. Now, this is, I'll keep switching between the body experience, and of course, our end goal is always to understand it energetically. And that is where we kind of, get deeper understanding of what is happening. But when you kind of look at intuition or, try to understand it, it is supposedly not coming directly from just the experience that is happening in the moment. It will be a thought that will just randomly float in. And that thought could be relating to anything. It could be relating to you. It could be relating to people that you kind of know but are not thinking about. And it could also be right there and then in an interaction you are having. For example, you're talking to somebody and then you get this intuition that they are not speaking the truth. You might get this intuition, they're not speaking the truth. It's not that they have, that you've thought about it, but you simply get this intuition that they are not speaking the truth. So, in terms of how to understand it in the body, is pretty much that whatever is happening is not happening very much at what the eye can see. But what the eye can see already is so limited. What the eye can see is just belonging to here and now. So, where is this intuition actually coming from? They say that it is coming from your subconscious. It is coming from your subconscious, and your subconscious has access to more data than your two visible eyes. And your subconscious is actually processing that data. And so it will throw up this inference, this conclusion to you. And that is what you feel as your intuition. To give you an idea, for example, like somebody had said this to me a long time ago, that I got a call from somebody saying, my daughter is very, very intuitive, and she's got this intuition that you should not go, you should not travel this week. So now she got this burst of information that I should not travel. She's not thinking about me, and she's not even knowing that I do have extensive travel plans for that week. And she says she's intuitive and she got this information. Am I known to her? Yes. But am I on talking terms with her on a daily basis? No. And then yet she has this piece of information about me. There you go. That's what it is. It's a piece of information. What is intuition actually? It's simply a piece of information. Whether this person is lying or not, it's a piece of information. Whether something is going to happen, an event is going to take place or not, this is a piece of information. When you look at it energetically, do you get information? Does it already exist in the energies? It does. And then you receive that information, what do you say, a little bit ahead of time. But what is it? It's simply a piece of information that you received. Now, what does it do to you? Yeah, that's where all the masala lies. What does it do to you? So let us say that you receive these information a few times, इसको ये होने वाला है, and हो गया. उसको वो होने वाला है. Something bad is going to happen over here, or something bad is already happening. And then you call and you find out that indeed it is true. It's simply a play in information. But what happens when people start to receive this information? What happens to them? Most of the times, when people receive this intimation, this information, it will put them into a little bit of fear. It will put them into a little bit of fear. Now, look at this. This piece of information is revealed to you, and you have come into fear. You have come into fear as a result of this piece of information? No. Now we look at it the other way around. The fear that you are meant to experience today has brought in this piece of information. And this piece of information, whatever it is, if it's going to create fear in you or something, but underlying that intuition is already what frequency? The frequency of fear. So sometimes, and again, something like this will happen to us, that we are going to a meeting and we already know that this meeting is not going to come out right. Now, this is the information that this meeting, यहाँ पे तो काम होने वाला ही नहीं है. What is your reaction to this meeting? What is your reaction to this meeting that has not yet happened, but it is about to happen? So you receive this information, and now you could look at it in several ways. Or this meeting is not going to go right. And I'll tell you something about the intuition. काली बिल्ली रास्ता काट जाए. Right? I mean, that's your creation of, आज तो अभी इतने अच्छे काम के लिए निकल रहे थे, काली बिल्ली रास्ता काट गई, and now this meeting, this work is not going to happen because a black cat has crossed my road. Oh my God. If we were in the US, people are actually like, many of them prefer to keep cats rather than dogs. And then if that is the case every single day, and many of the cats are black, by nature, and then many of the people would never get any work done if they were going to go with a black cat has crossed my road, and so things will not happen. But what do we immediately tune into with this thought, with this intuition, with this premonition? We tune into the fear frequency. That means the fear is already existing in our frequency and has wanted to experience itself through this. I could do 2 or 3 things about the meeting, even if I'm unaware. I could then say, okay, fine, if the meeting is going to go wrong, at least let me prepare a little bit more. Let me go a little bit more prepared so that, maybe this meeting would go right. Maybe something can come out of it. Now, that piece of information that you received, you're not taking as a finality. You're simply looking at it and doing things. You're not focused on what this information has conveyed to you, what your intuition, so-called, is saying to you. But then you take this fear of the meeting going wrong or something not going right in the day, and then you do something with the meeting. Or you could totally cancel today's meeting, that, oh no, I can't come to the meeting today, and you avoid the meeting today because today the meeting is going to be not fruitful or not worthy of your time. You could cancel it. You would avoid being at the meeting. So when we are unaware, even when we are unaware, let us say, we have a big presentation in terms of, presenting to a boss or something, and it's big and it's very important for your promotion. And then as you're going into the meeting, you will have these fearful thoughts that, oh my God, what if this goes wrong, and like, oh my God, it's not going to go right, or what is going to happen? And maybe you're coming from fear. But even as you come from fear, it might be that you will not focus on the fear, but in preparing yourself a little bit more for the presentation, I'm talking about the unaware self. You might take it as that way, or you might just completely avoid going for the presentation at all, not making some excuse, I'm not well today, I'm throwing up. And you know what, all of that might just happen because you're coming into anxiety thinking about the presentation. You've got so many fears about the presentation, they might manifest as fear, and then that would become your excuse. So when your intuition is coming from fear, but the kind of fear that is going to make you run, the one that is going to make you avoid dealing with the emotion, feeling that experience, and then just being aware that I can still make something out of it. Even in unawares, you can you find ways to shift your frequency. But when you are able to not focus on the end outcome, which is filled with fear, but simply go along with the process, what are you actually able to do with that last line outcome, that today's day is going to be all really bad? What are you able to do? You might be able to shift your frequency. That's exactly what we do when we put our focus not on that one line of intuition. When we don't take that as an end result, that is going to happen, there is no way to avoid it. When we don't give that finality to it, then we can do something to change our frequency and still move along. However, as it happened with that person who said, you must not go out today, something really bad will happen if you travel this week. That intuition, purely that information that has come to them, what are they tuning into with that information? In unawares, 99% of the time, okay, maybe not 99, 95% of the time, the intuition is all about fear. All about fear. Now, let us say you get some really good intuition about things, that, oh my God, I have this meeting and it's going to turn out so well and my boss is going to be so happy. Wonderful, because already what is the frequency that you are kicking into with this intuitive thought? The frequency of joy and excitement and not worry and anxiety. And so if that is the intuition, I would say, well, go along with it and be, whether you look into it or not, already, if not at this moment, at some point in time, you are able to move in the frequency of joy and abundance. That means, again, stepping back. If the intuition is coming from the frequency of joy and abundance, then what does it mean? The energy field already holds joy and abundance. So, hallelujah, that we don't really need to, at this point, look deeper. We can, but we can at least flow with the intuition, that is, that I'm going to be so successful with the project that I've taken on hand. However, if the project on hand is giving you these heebie-jeebies, that it's not going to turn out right, this is not going to happen, I'm not going to get the right resources, I already know it, then that intuition needs to be looked into, to look at the frequency of fear and say, how can we constructively move towards fearlessness? How can we do that? So now, jumping into the energy part of it. I've been talking about it already, but just kind of looking at the whole place of the word intuition. When we begin to understand the energy, it's only our energy field. Whether it's coming from fear, we recognize what the word intuition, what is this information conveying to us about my energy, about my energy field. Then the only job that this entire, should I be more intuitive? How can I grow my intuition? How can I become more intuitive? Look at the energy of it. When I want to become more intuitive, what is it that I'm really wanting to do? I'm trying to predict the future more and more accurately. I'm trying to predict the future more and more accurately. And here the energetic question, why? Why am I even trying to predict the future? Why am I trying to be more intuitive? No, because then I would be better prepared. Better prepared for what? Already, can you see the threads of fear underlining this? You're wanting to know whether something is going to be a success or something is not going to be a success. The energy underneath it is of fear, of wanting to make sure that you are only coming to successful ventures and not unsuccessful ventures. Even in terms of relationships, I should know whether this relationship is going to work out or not, because I don't want to get into a failure of a relationship. Well, guess what? This one you might be able to avoid. But what's your energy holding, and what can you not avoid? You cannot avoid your own energy field. So if the energy field is coming from fear, and let us say today you get a very strong intuition of this person is lying to me, you get a very strong intuition. What would you do if you were unaware? Very clearly, you would call it out on that person, maybe make changes to your relationship itself, and especially if it's a repeat performance, you would make changes to the relationship on the outside. But when you are energetically aware, what would you do? When that person is lying, this finger would very quickly move from there to here. And you would begin to look at all the places where you are lying to yourself, and then release the judgment of truth and lies, and then see what is it that I'm feeling. I'm feeling mistrust. That's what I'm feeling. So between these two, between being able to see who are you rejecting on the outside, your lying self. What am I feeling? Mistrust towards this entire event. You would sit and work on your inner self by the processes that we've outlined many a times, by being able to look at the emotion, by being able to witness the emotion, by accepting the emotion, and then releasing the emotion and choosing something else. You have an intuition that, there's going to be a theft in your house. An unaware person, what would they do? They would go out and buy more locks. Buy more locks, secure themselves more, protect themselves more from that theft. And so, when the aware person comes into the same intuition today, I have a very strong intuition that, somebody is going to steal things from me. What would I do? I would start to work on my energy of what am I feeling as I think of somebody is going to steal something from me. What emotion am I sitting in? And then work on the self, work on the concept of a thief, that somebody can steal something from me, that something of mine which belongs to me in the energetic sense. It is here for me to enjoy. It will stay with me because it is here for me to enjoy. But if something doesn't belong to me, even if I've bought it, but if it doesn't belong to me, then your energy simply states, it's not yours. So let it go. So what would you do as an aware person? Not secure anything, not look for protection. Can you see how counterintuitive this is to your intuition? This is how energy plays completely counterintuitively to this space called intuition. Then, as you are able to see more and more, as I explained right at the beginning, in energetic parlance, what is it? It's just a piece of information from some place that has come to you, from amongst the many multiverses that you are creating every moment. This piece of information has come to you. As you sit in more fear, you sometimes even manifest it. And as you manifest it more, you're like, see, I already knew this was going to happen. But when you're looking at it energetically, you're able to understand it's simply a piece of information from some space, from some realm that I might be existing in. But do I have to bring it here? Or can I change the frequency of this information itself? So when people would call me and say, I've got this information about this is going to happen to that person. Should I call them? Should I not call them? Should I tell them? Should I make them aware? And I would only say one thing. You need to look at what you are feeling with this piece of information that has come through. What are you feeling? If you are feeling fearful, if you are feeling regret, if you are feeling sad about them, then this piece of information has simply come to throw up these energy fields of yours, and you can process this information first. And then whether you tell it to them or you don't tell it to them, it's okay. When Shreya talked about how she is able to get this, intuition about the problems that they're having, how beautiful it is now that she is not, क्या कहते हैं उसको, emotionally attached. So what am I feeling? The answer to that would be like nothing. And when this piece of information comes, what am I feeling? I'm feeling a sense of wonderment. Or like, wow, like how I was able to give that information to them. So when this particular information came, you were taken into a place of wonderment. It's your intuition, all right. However, this time it's coming from a different frequency. And she said, oh, ever since I did the EM program, the one thing that I keep telling people in the EM program is just learn to be in my frequency a lot more. And it's the frequency of answers. So you will receive answers. Okay, so now you're sitting with somebody and you received answers for them. And they haven't brought that up. And between the two of you, then you sit and you enjoy this moment of wow. Like, wow, how did I get this information? You got this information as an answer because of the frequency that you're sitting in. You got the same information or other pieces of information, but the frequency might be fear, anxiety, worry, etc., etc. And the only thing that an aware person would do when they receive a piece of information, easy peasy, one answer, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And to be able to clear your own energy from there, your own energy. Then, will you get intuition? Of course you will. Of course you will. But the space from where you are receiving it, the frequency from where you are receiving your intuition now is changing. Instead of receiving from fear, you will receive it from the frequency of answers. Instead of receiving it from anxiety, you will receive it from joy, from guidance. Guidance. What is guidance? Guidance, the one that we sit with every day. I tell people, pick up your notebook and sit and deep dive into yourself. Sit quietly and ask, what is important for me to know today? And then some answer will come. And yet, even as you take that answer, don't do this, don't do that, then I always remind you, instead of, oh my God, I got this answer in my guidance, I also again tell you the next step is to be able to step back and to see what is the energy behind this answer itself. So even when you take guidance or, what you call aware intuition, still you think you are aware, but it's possible. It's possible. Why? Because every frequency of ours has a nice voice. It has a nice voice. And so every frequency of yours, if you're saying, I take energy from Meenal, and then you're like, okay, but this guidance came to me and it spoke in your voice. Oh, don't worry. Every frequency can take on any voice. They're very good that way. It's just a frequency and it can play in any voice. How do you recognize the nature of that intuition? Is by asking yourself, what am I feeling? Or, being able to see, is this moving me from fear to fearless? Or is this bringing me to resistance? Is this stopping me from my limitlessness? To take that example forward, when that person who had intuition about me said, oh, don't travel, I looked at that and I said, well, doesn't look like intuition to me, because it is taking them to a place of resistance. Oh my God, she shouldn't do this. It's taking them to a place of fear. And so, is this intuition? Yes, it is. Is this a piece of information? Yes, it is. But under what frequency is it sitting? It is sitting in the frequency of fear. I would ask, so I said, I'm looking at it and I appreciate your concern. However, I'm going to carry on with my plans. I'm going to carry on with my plans. And whatever needs to happen, I allow it to happen. If something needs to happen, I'm not going to avoid it by staying at home, by not doing whatever is meant to be done. An old story comes to mind, not exactly intuition, but kind of related to avoiding. So here it is, when money was in life, in person, as being, he had a lot of powers of intuition, etc., etc. And then he also kind of honed them. So he was an absolutely brilliant astrologer, an absolutely brilliant palmist. And so what was he doing? He was taking his intuition and he was sharpening it. He was sharpening it through all of these other sciences, palmistry and astrology and all of this. So he was sharpening numerology. He was sharpening his senses. So one time, he got this strong intuition, or whether he looked at it astrologically, can't remember. But he got this information that today you're going to have an accident. So in those days, Mani used to have a scooter. And so he was like, okay, I'm not going to travel today. I'm not going anywhere today. I'm going to avoid making any trips outside because today is accident. So now he's sitting at home, doing nothing, sitting at home, doing nothing. He decided to water the plants. And as he was watering the plants, he found that one of the plants was kind of dead. So he decided to pick up the planter and take it outside so that it could be in direct sunlight. Picked up the planter, walked a couple of steps, and the planter, the base broke and fell on his leg. There you go. Accident happened. So what is it? If it's going to happen, then what was he trying to do? He was trying to avoid the accident. From which frequency? From the frequency of fear. What happened? Oh well, the fear manifested. Not necessary that it will manifest there and then, but it will manifest. Energy is not playing, कि आज नहीं हुआ तो बच गए. That energy of fear you have grown for yourself, and it will manifest. And sometimes it will manifest without you receiving your intuition. But energy is what is the player, and not whether you can avoid something or stay with something. So I looked at that information and I said, I'm going to travel. And so I traveled. And, well, nothing happened. That's all right. But when people ask me, oh, so you're on this path and you must really have amazing intuition and amazing predicting powers. And you must know, because so many times you say these things and you predict and it happens exactly as is. So this is your intuition. And there's a difference. There is a difference. Because when I say those things that come through my mouth, I haven't processed that information, and that information doesn't belong to me. I haven't even looked at that information. That's money speaking through me. Money, the frequency of guidance. The frequency of guidance. And that is speaking through me. Now, is it telling people ever? I've never heard him say, don't do this, don't go there. Why? Because, simple, it's not the frequency of fear, it's the frequency of guidance. So it'll tell them, nice things which free people, which make them a little bit more limitless. And that's how you free yourself. So the guidance will take you a little bit more to your limitless self. So as the guidance comes, I'm still constantly looking within to see, is it coming from a place of limiting? And 100% of the time, it's not coming from a place of limiting, and I can recognize it as monies. Then Am I the one who holds these very fancy predicting powers? No. And as a matter of fact, I don't even care to grow my intuition. It is not needed. So, what is the antidote to all of this and sitting in fear and then wanting to do things to avoid, so that your intuition has already told you something, that something bad is going to happen? Now what do? My answer to this is surrender. My plain and simple answer, that why do I need to know the future? The future is playing out in every moment. Why do I need to know and to be more intuitive and be more correct in my predictions? Why do I even need to have a good predicting ability when every moment of mine I can simply look at everything, whatever is happening, good, bad, ugly, wonderful, whatever is happening, I can take on that experience of the moment, and soon enough, if not in that exact precise moment, but soon enough, if I can already change my frequency and come back to all is well with the world, everything is as it needs to be, and everything is already playing out in perfection, then that becomes my process of moving from moment to moment. And no intuitive powers are needed, because when they are needed, they come. If Mani thinks it's important for me to make a prediction, he will speak through me. Otherwise, when people call me out and say, what do you think, what's your gut feel about this new venture that I'm going to start? I'm like, wonderful. It's wonderful. Move. Go ahead with it. Then 5 months later, when that venture has collapsed maybe, then I understand it played out in perfection. Because it's all about them putting their eyes on a venture and not being able to look into the energy with which the venture was being created. And for me, energetically, what is my intuition about everything that is happening in the world? My intuition is everything is wonderful, everything is great. And from that place, what am I creating for myself? I'm creating flow. I'm creating fearlessness. I am creating a little bit more limitlessness for myself. In the body, am I going to show up limited? Absolutely. Absolutely. There will always be places where the body will take its first action, first reaction, and that will be because we are on earth. That will be from a place of separation, might be from a place of mistrust. And then how does awareness help? If I'm coming from the frequency of mistrust, I will get to see it. If not in the first hour, at least 3 hours later, 3 days later, I will get to see it. I will get to witness it. And from that place, I will be able to shift to something else. The frequency of guidance, the frequency that makes me limitless, I will be able to shift to that. So that is my 2 bits on intuition and how to understand it. It's pure and simple information. That's it. So information is coming to you. Now, how are you going to experience it? Belongs to you. Totally belongs to you. Okay. All right. Any questions? Anybody wants to ask? ऐसा या तो सब कुछ समझ में आ गया या कुछ नहीं समझ में आया. Yeah, Prince, please go ahead.
So basically what we are saying is, just be aware of your frequency and be surrendered to Maniji or to Meenal frequency, whatever you take, is the 2 things. Because मेरे को इतना ज्ञान फायदा तभी करेगा जब मुझे पता है how to move forward. तो ये 2 चीजें मुझे समझ में आई हैं. Is there a third?
बहुत बढ़िया. ये समझ में to be, हमारी तो हर वाणी जो है वो यहीं पे एंड होती है. Be aware of your emotion. All of my teachings end in that, what am I feeling? This one is no different, right? But people get lost in, like, people even go to क्या कहते हैं उसको, fortune tellers, and then वो crystal ballers and everything. Those people have what they call as intuition, astrologers who are looking at a science and trying to predict. So again, when money was predicting, amazing it is that whenever money was predicting, after looking at your horoscope, when money was predicting futures, his future prediction was like 100 on 100 for other people. Why? Because no attachment. Can you see? No attachment to outcome.
Yes.
मेरे लिए prediction करने में, like, he'll predict something, and then something will happen, and then he'll say, चलो जो होना था वो हो गया, now maybe it's done. See, can you see why his predictions wouldn't be? Because now there is an attachment to an outcome, that his daughter shouldn't feel hurt, the daughter should be protected, blah 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 blah. So whatever his vidya is telling him, his science, his reading of it is telling him. But and it's the same thing, when I do, let's say tomorrow I start to predict. Now if you come to me and you've been through a hard time, and I'll be like, oh poor prince, let me see what. Now already my predictions are colored. So whatever intuition that I'm getting is colored. So your intuition, when it's coming from a frequency of fear, is colored with that. Now when your intuition is coming from masti, it's colored with that. So intuition is just information, pure, simple, sadi information. And that's it. But we give it the color. How do we give it the color? As you rightly said, from our frequency. तो फिर देखना कहाँ पे है? अपनी frequency को, कि उस intuition को हमने कैसे किया, right? So now, and then the answer, surrender. Whoever, I talk about money because everything that happens in my life is money. And now, some people might say Shiva, some people might say Meenal, because that's where they have given me that place. Meenal, money, all of it in that moment. Guidance. That frequency of masti is so closely tied to guidance. है ना? जब मैंने surrender किया, मेरे ऊपर तो है ही निकल क्या होने वाला है. It doesn't belong to me. What's going to happen tomorrow? I am sitting in surrender frequency. If this tomorrow doesn't belong to me, and money will do whatever he needs to do today, will I be happy or will I be sitting with a sad face or a fearful face? When it doesn't, I've given it over to somebody who can handle it better. Then I will be happy. I've given it to money, but money's got 400 other people to look after. I don't know how he will look into my problems as well. I don't think money can handle this problem of mine. But I have to give it to him because Meenal says surrender is the best option. Now really. Right. That's so not surrender, right? कि नहीं दिया तो है, but I don't know. I'm not feeling totally confident that money can handle this. Money is not going to give me what I like. That's true. Money is not going to give you something that you like. Money, well, not exactly true in every sense of the way, but money is sometimes going to give you and sometimes not give you. But at all times, money is going to want you to empty your pot, your energy field. And so again we circle back to कौन सी energy field में से, how are we going to process this information that has come to us in the name of intuition, right? So absolutely surrender is my answer to everything, and especially if a piece of information has just floated in through a thought process, then, and I can figure out that my information is putting me into fear and putting resistance in me in moving forward, then look at it, look at the fear, and move to being a little bit more fearless. In the unaware state, we still do a lot more preparation, But the good part about awareness state is, even as we do the preparation, let's say we do a little bit more prep, however, first we change our frequency. And then we do whatever. We look at some other solutions, but not from the frequency of anxiety, not from the frequency of that worry and fear that the intuition has shown up for us. Right? Only a piece of information.
Basically, frequency is the fundamental intelligence.
Always. उसको देख जाओ, तुम्हारी फंडामेंटल इंटेलिजेंस इस वक्त कहाँ पे मंडरा रही है, वो दिख जाएगा और उसको तू चेंज कर सकते हैं. And so for me, the answer to that is surrender. Because surrender already brings you, true surrender, brings you to a place of fearlessness. आज अभी मस्ती कर लेते हैं, कल जो होगा देखा जाएगा, है ना? ऐसा है. Wonderful. Okay. शून्य से इंट्यूशन की हवा निकाल दी. इंट्यूशन इज जस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन. हवा निकाल भी थी और वापस भर भी थी. फियर वाले इंट्यूशन की हवा निकाल दी एंड ट्रस्ट वाले इंफॉर्मेशन की, ट्रस्ट वाली हवा उसमें भर दी. ट्रस्ट की उसके अंदर फियरलेसनेस की हवा भर दी, फियर की हवा निकाल दी. सो इट इज जस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन. नाउ चूज. ओके. Navneet says, sorry.
Earlier, like at least me, I had made intuition like a big thing. I'm getting intuition sometimes and sometimes I'm not. But now it's like it's just information and that's about it.
It is information, right? But every frequency that you tune into, especially if you're tuning into menal frequency, it'll give you answers, right? But as we keep looking at the answers, suddenly one day fear will come and sound like menal in menal's Dolby voice, and then it'll project, and then you'll be like, oh my god, today this is the information I got. That's why I say awareness mein you will always check into the emotion and not into what kind of voice, what kind of sound is coming from the system. Doesn't matter. What is the underlying energy underneath that sound, that will tell you where your information, that intuition is held, right? Okay. कोई नवनीत मुझे पूछते हैं कि किसी मोमेंट को देखने पर लगता है कि ये तो हम सब हमारे साथ पहले भी हो चुका है, ये सब मैं पहले से देख चुकी हूँ. हाँ, जब हमने शुरुआत ही की इस सेशन की, जब शुरुआत की तो मैंने बोला कि इंट्यूशन है क्या. आपके सबकॉन्शियस लेवल पे जो इंफॉर्मेशन है वो उसको माइंड अभी की तरफ देखते हुए क्विकली प्रोसेस करके और कुछ तो इन्फॉर्मेशन भेज देता. तो कभी कभी इसको हम कहते हैं डेजा वू. डेजा वू, डेजा वू का मतलब ये मेरे साथ पहले घट चुका है. तो क्या हुआ, अभी सामने कुछ हो रहा है या हम किसी नई जगह पे आए हैं, लेकिन उस जगह को देखते ही लगता है कि यहाँ पे तो हम पहले भी आ चुके हैं. डेजा वू. व्हाट इज दिस? पहले भी आ चुके हैं. क्या चल रहा है? अरे इंफॉर्मेशन. अगेन, वो जहाँ पे वो इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर्ड है वो एकदम से अचानक से तुमको हिट हुई कि ये हो चुका है, ऐसा हो चुका है, इसको मैं मिल चुकी हूँ, या इस जगह पे मैं पहले भी आ चुकी हूँ. होगा ना, इतनी सारी जिंदगियां जी चुके हैं, कहीं ना कहीं कभी ना कभी डोलते हंटते पहुंच गए होंगे हम वहां पे. तो बट व्हाट आर यू रिसीविंग? सिंपली इंफॉर्मेशन. अब उस इंफॉर्मेशन को देखते हुए अब हम क्या करेंगे? अब हम ये तो मेरे साथ पहले भी हो चुका और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत बढ़िया, मस्ती करो. नहीं, ये तो मेरे साथ पहले भी मैं यहाँ पे आ चुकी हूँ और एकदम से मन भारी हो रहा है. हो सकता है. क्यों? क्योंकि वहाँ से जहाँ से तुम्हारा सबकॉन्शियस माइंड वो इन्फॉर्मेशन निकाल के लाया है, हो सकता है वहाँ पे उस वक्त पे कुछ हुआ हो. तो अगर भारी महसूस हो रहा है तो करेंगे क्या? वो पुरानी बात हो गई, अब की थोड़ी है. वो बात पुरानी हो गई, लेकिन अभी तुमको इन्फॉर्मेशन आई है. पुरानी हो गई, इस जीवन की नहीं है, पर बैठी हुई तो है ना तुम्हारी एनर्जी में. तो अगर भारी फील हो रहा है तो उस एनर्जी को देख जाओ और आज रिलीज कर दो. क्योंकि हमारे एनर्जी फील्ड में, हमारी सबकॉन्शियस में इस लाइफ का थोड़ी पता नहीं हम कितने जन्मों का लेके चल रहे हैं, राइट? सो दैट इंफॉर्मेशन इज ऑल देयर। और कैसे कलेक्टेड है? थ्रू फ्रीक्वेंसीज। सब कुछ फ्रीक्वेंसी के माध्यम से ही तो हम इकट्ठा करते हैं। आज इतना भयंकर दुख हो गया तो वो दुख जाके हमारी ऊर्जा का एक हिस्सा बन जाएगा। फिर जब अगली बार ऐसा कुछ भी होने लगेगा तो वो दुख आके हमको याद दिला देगा कि ये ऐसा हो चुका है, ये नहीं करना, ये नहीं करना। फिर तुम उसको बोलोगे इंट्यूशन, कि इंट्यूशन हो रही है कि ये नहीं करना। पर जहां पे नहीं करना ऐसे सख्ती से बोला जाए, समझ जाओ कौन सी फ्रीक्वेंसी में बैठे हो। इतना डर ही तो लग रहा है कि कर लिया तो बहुत गड़बड़ हो जाएगी। तो जो वो इंट्यूशन आई है वो आई है आपकी फियर फ्रीक्वेंसी से। तो देख जाओ और रिलीज कर दो। और अगर मस्ती से आ रही है तो देख जाओ, पार्टी कर लो और बढ़ा लो। राइट हो? Anybody else wants to share? Anybody else has questions? All good?
There is a question, but not exactly related to intuition, but to
That's okay.
self-love.
बोलो।
So, as we learn in the process that when we don't love ourselves truly, then we don't even get it from the outside. Eventually, that is just superficial. But sometimes some people, or even I have seen that, random people, like, will just shower me with love and say that you look like a daughter or whatever. And even my family says कि तुझे तो कोई भी प्यार करने लग जाता है, and you're like always beloved. But when I check myself on the parameters like self love पे webinar, तो I realize कि शायद सेल्फ लव का तो बहुत लैग है। तो खुद में अगर इतना लैग है तो वो बाहर से कैसे आ रहा है?
सो क्यूट। क्योंकि तुम अगेन जो तुम्हारी सबकॉन्शियस में है, ओके, तो खुश होना चाहिए तुम्हें कि बाहर से इतना आ रहा है। इसका मतलब ऑलरेडी भरा हुआ तो तुमने कहीं से रखा है, ओके। लेकिन इस लाइफ में you've chosen a different experience, maybe through some other people or through yourself. So self love दूसरों से आ रहा है, okay, और अब self love खुद पे। this is a journey. So मेरे साथ भी ऐसी कुछ जर्नी हुई थी, पर क्योंकि I can see into past lives, तो एक लाइफ पुरानी उभर के मेरे पास आई और उसमें था कि I was a nun, okay. Somebody left me, my mother left me at the doorstep of a church and never came back to check on me, okay. And I was at the church, but I was brought up by the church, but I chose at that point in time to become a nun वहीं पे। फिर उसके बाद एज द स्टोरी प्रोग्रेस, ये सारी पास्ट लाइफ की स्टोरीज वगैरह वगैरह ऐसे टपक जाती है ना, तो टपकी तो हमने वहीं किए उसी चर्च के। फिर हम मदर भी बन गए, लेकिन वहाँ पे कोई देयर वाज सम डिजीज विच स्प्रेड एंड सो आई वाज सर्विंग पीपल, बट आई कॉट द डिजीज एंड आई डाइड, ओके। नाउ दैट्स द लाइफ। नाउ एज आई सर्व्ड पीपल, आई रिसीव्ड अ लॉट ऑफ लव फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड, okay, but at the same time I did not receive love from the family that was. My mother never checked on me again, but I received love from many people from that setting, okay. Stories, okay. Now in this life that entire story played out in such a way that हमने दूसरों को सर्व करके उनसे तो लव करना सीख लिया था, पर खुद से लव करना अनअवेयर में था। सो दिस जर्नी ऑफ माइन इन दिस पर्टिकुलर लाइफ हैज बीन अबाउट अवेयर सेल्फ लव। दूसरों से तो आ गया था और दूसरों से इस लाइफ में भी भर भर के आ रहा था। आई वॉज admired, like even in my banking role I was admired, in my college, so I was receiving a lot of love from my family. I was receiving a lot of love. However, through a few different actors who then brought me towards self-love by not giving me love. तो तुमको जो recognition अपने आप से हो रहा है या मे बी थ्रू सम एक्टर्स हो रहा है, of not receiving love from a few, वहाँ पे they have this very important role to show us that the finger has to come back totally, even on self-love. As, how does it come back? I am complete. And we do not come to this space in unawareness because we still find completion in service to others. We find completion and it is very beautiful. However, the story is still incomplete and has to come back here to I am complete. Whether I do something for others, don't do anything for others, मेरे हाथ से होगा, लेकिन मैं उसके अंदर नहीं फंसूंगी कि मेरे हाथ से हुआ तो आई एम वर्दी ऑफ लव. हुआ नहीं हुआ, आई एम नॉट वर्दी ऑफ लव, आई एम लव. दैट्स द जर्नी ऑफ सेल्फ लव. सो तुम्हें बाहर से मिल रहा है, मुझे बाहर से मिला था एज द नन, एंड देन तुम्हारा इसी जन्म के अंदर कंप्लीट हो रहा है. कुछ और एक्टर्स मिल भी जाएंगे जो कि नहीं देंगे द काइंड ऑफ लव, एंड दे आर ऑल्सो देन अगेन जस्ट शोइंग यू. फिंगर मत रखो किससे मिल रहा है और किससे नहीं. कहाँ से मिलेगा पता ही नहीं, रोजाना अलग जन से मिलेगा, बहुत बढ़िया. दैट इज नॉट बिकॉज योर एक्सपेक्टेशंस आर पेग्ड टू सम प्लेस, but because you are love. Yeah?
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Okay then, on self-love. Every webinar of mine first goes to frequencies, and then whether mentioned or not, it has to connect with you at the level of who you are, the creator. Of which frequency? Every given day a new frequency. आज fear है, कल fearless है. Through awareness we can change that. But creator you are. How amazing is that? And how wonderful to be in that space. Okay everyone, then let's do a quick meditation. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. And in this moment, your biggest fear of the moment, your biggest fear, whether it's about you, it's about life, it's about somebody else, your biggest fear. Take a look at that fear. It's simply an experience of a frequency in this moment. That's it. ना कुछ ज़्यादा ना कुछ कम, लेकिन अगर आज फियर आया है तो आज अभी इस वक्त एक्सपीरियंस करने के लिए आया है. कर लो अभी के लिए, इस मिनट में एक्सपीरियंस कर लो वो फियर, जो भी है, जैसा भी है. आगे क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, हो क्यों नहीं रहा है, जो भी फियर है, एक्सपीरियंस करो. हाउ टू एक्सपीरियंस इट? Sit with the thought, what if it was to happen exactly as per my fear? In this moment, experience that fear manifesting. Experience it right now only. Don't wait for it to manifest. Experience it as if it is happening. Your worst fear, अगर वो अभी इस वक्त हो रहा हो तो क्या हो? क्या क्या फील हो रहा है? What all are you feeling? Name it. Maybe some helplessness, maybe a lot of sadness, maybe worry, maybe guilt, judgment. mistrust, hopelessness, whatever you are feeling, feel in this moment. Feel the heaviness of this moment. Feel it. This is your aware experience. Feeling the fear while knowing it is an experience of this moment. And now, all of the emotions that you named, simply imagine money standing in front of you and put at his feet. Put at his feet. Whether hopelessness, helplessness, shame, guilt, worry, जो कुछ भी तुम्हारे सबसे बड़े फियर के साथ तुम्हें एक्सपीरियंस हुआ, उसको अभी मणि के पैरों में डाल दो. Money is standing in front of you, and put it in his feet. And in your imagination, you can see money standing in front of you. In your imagination, you have put all of these emotions at his feet. And in your imagination, you will be able to see each of these emotions turning into little butterflies. Such cute little butterflies. The frequency of fear, this amazing little butterfly in your favorite color, prancing around, dancing around, coming and sitting on your shoulder, and you can see it, and you're finding it so beautiful. Another butterfly, another emotion, and there's a bunch of butterflies floating, flying all around you. Yeah, these were your emotions, those heavy emotions, but they are now simply little joyous experiences because you put them, you surrendered them to money. And as you watch these little butterflies, a little smile plays on your face. No longer afraid you are of your emotions. Just an experience, a butterfly experience. Take a deep breath in, a deep breath in, and exhale. Exhale. Feel the lightness of the moment. Feel the beauty of the butterflies. The butterflies are yours. The butterflies are money's. And together you changed the energy of your heavy emotions. So anytime that you feel a fear coming on, pause, take a look at your emotions and surrender them to money. This journey from fear to fearless life through little experiences of butterflies, a smile on your face, oh money, oh money, oh money. Lovely. Okay, everyone. Lots and lots of love to all of you. Thank you so much. See you guys again.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Labrumi.
Thank you.
Lots
Thank
of
you.